Checking if the sound works. It wasn't going through my headphones. Okay. Checking that this works. And we're good. Just posted onto the dashboard, or onto the thing. Give everyone a sec. It looks like this is kind of quiet. I'm gonna make this, open things up a bit. Just gonna make this available to more people on Patreon so we can have more fun. Streaming a little differently. Yeah, I'm just gonna make this fully public because this is very quiet and it'll be fun if people are here. And if anyone's upset about that, they'll let me know. Hey Mindy, if you want to just, if you're comment on the live on YouTube, if you can see it there on the link, so that way I can see all the chat. Hello. By the way, this is normally a Patreon live stream, but decided to open it up so there'd be a little bit more of an open discussion. Since the Patreon's still growing, it's a little small and cozy, so I thought maybe it'd be fun to do it live on YouTube here. It's a little different than my usual setup, so hope that's okay. I still have my bread mic. All right, yeah. Yay! Yeah, I haven't gone live on YouTube. It's only the second time I've gone live on YouTube, but I regularly go live through my Patreon. Hey, Mindy! Yeah. This is just anything's fair game, Hunger Games Q&A. I got into an interesting discussion about careers, particularly Finnick, because I posted a TikTok about the career reapings, and I don't know, I guess, by the way, and 1, 2, and 4 are all careers. I was seeing a lot of confusion, people saying District 4 isn't actually a career district. They are, they just, you know, became part of the rebellion, but like they were careers. And, you know, most likely Finnick did volunteer. We don't have 100% confirmation, but it's, you know, based on what we know, it's implied almost all of the tributes from career districts are volunteers, which would include Finnick. And I know he's very young. He was only 14, but he was exceptionally skilled and was seen as very attractive. So I can see people from the career district wanting that to be their tribute for the year. They would think, you know, it'd be exciting because Finnick was so young. If they could have one of the youngest victors ever and he was a good candidate for that, I think it makes sense. That's why Finnick made it in there, you know? Bread mic is important. Yes, Parsley. Do I think Annie volunteered? I mean, I think she did. I mean, I just assume that the majority of the people from career districts are volunteers. That's at least based on the information we're given. Yeah, you assume Mindy volunteered. It was just more traumatic than expected. Yeah, I mean, the whole thing is none of these kids really understand what they're going into. You've grown up in this culture where you're taught this is normal. This is the most honorable thing you could do. It's just a totally different value system, and you know, the idea of like what it's actually like to kill people is not something that they really fully understand. And then it's not till going into the games, then yeah, you go through all this trauma. I mean, even Cato, like by the end of his games, you know, he seemed to finally get it. Like, oh, no one actually values my life. I'm just a pawn as much as any of these other kids. But yeah, I think Annie volunteered, and I mean, we don't know the truth of what happened in her games. Obviously, from Sunrise and the Reaping, we know that a lot of things could have happened in the games that are outside of the general public's knowledge. So, you know, if you know, based on what we're told, Annie, you know, just was completely traumatized by watching her district partner be beheaded, makes sense to me. And who knows what else she went through or even after. And yeah, I mean, just like the psychological impact of going into the games, it doesn't matter if you really wanted to go in and you trained your whole life to go into the games and it's your dream to be a victor. Actually going through the games, I think, is beyond anything anyone would expect it to actually be like. I imagine most of the people were very traumatized, and it wasn't great, you know? Can we talk about how Sunrise is both the funniest Hunger Games book and the saddest Hunger Games book? I'm struggling to think of funny moments. What's funny moments you think in it? Just like Haymitch's commentary is kind of funny? Is that what you mean? I'm struggling to think of... I guess the things that stand out to me as funny in it are more of like Maisie's comments. Like, she's very sassy and it's funny to me. But what do you find funny about Sunrise, if there's anything you find funny about it? think Haymitch, though, he's more humorous than Katniss. The designer. Oh, like Hugo. Oh, wait, what's his name? Is his name Hugo? The guy with the reptiles. Yeah, there was definitely very ridiculous characters when we got more time with those people. And yeah, like Proserpina and the other prep team people were sort of funny. Magno, thank you. Hugo Magno was the same name inside my head. Do you think that there were only one set of career kids preparing each year? You always assumed there'd be multiple people from each district trying, and then they kind of pick one to be the volunteer. I mean, that's the big question. There's so little we actually know about how the career system worked. It's not even officially called careers. Like Katniss just says in District 12, we call them careers. But I mean, it seems like that most kids are preparing for it in some way. There's not any sort of official school, or at least as far as we know. I know Haymitch makes a comment about that in the movie, but that's only in the movie. So I think that lots of kids are preparing all the time. And then I could see it where it's sort of like an underground system where the higher ups in that district are saying, like, these are our best chances of winning this year, and they're saying these kids should be the ones who volunteer, or maybe there's a few that, because overall the district, they want to put their best, they want to have the best tribute to be, you know, in the game fighting for them. So I think a bunch are training, and then based on skill and the kids' mentality about it, and you know, if they think that they would be appealing to a capital audience, that would all sort of play a factor. But the truth is, we really know so little about how the career system works. So if we get another book, I would love for it to give us more insight into that. You know, let us see what the career system actually is, because it's very mysterious. How do I think they'll navigate Welly's death in the movie? By the way, guys, this is a Sunrise and the Reaping spoiler zone in this live stream. So if you don't want spoilers for Sunrise on the Reaping, run for the hills. Because anything's fair game in this discussion. But I think that with Welly, I feel like they can't have her head be cut off. I think if they do, it will not really be shown. Like, I think having a child be beheaded would be very difficult to get approved, you know, for a PG-13 movie. I know in Twilight there's a moment where someone is beheaded, but it's an adult, and they're like a vampire, they're not a real person, so it feels like it's kind of in a different realm. Maybe a slit throat, yeah, or just she could be speared. I mean, you know, with Rue, they had her, she was kind of speared from the back, and they very, you know, artfully showed it. You didn't see much gore or anything. She's just sort of holding her stomach in. Very sad. Read. Looking through what everyone's saying. Riley, you think they'll allude to Welly's death in a very artsy cinematic way, but they won't show it like Game of Thrones. I'm gonna say something crazy that might upset some people. I have never watched Game of Thrones. I've seen the first episode, and because I was with someone and they wanted to show it to me, and it was fun. I'm sure I'll watch it someday. I haven't gotten around to it, but I'm kind of afraid of how obsessed I would become with it. I need to be ready for it. I feel like I missed the boat. I should have watched it during COVID. Looking through these questions. Do I think Cashmere and Gloss volunteered for the 75th games? I think let me check, because I'm pretty sure that some of them did volunteer for the Quell. Hold on, let me consult my Kindle app. So in regards to the quarter Quell, here's what Katniss wrote when she's looking at the Reaping. There's the classically beautiful brother and sister from District 1 who were victors in consecutive years when I was little. Brutus, a volunteer from District 2 who must be at least 40 and apparently can't wait to get back in the arena. So I feel like by her differentiating that Brutus volunteered, and she didn't say that about Cashmere and Gloss from District 1, I think that they weren't picked. I mean, I think they were picked and they didn't volunteer. I mean, it was just like a whole different ball game like for the Quell, it wasn't a normal sort of reaping. And they were voicing dissent in their interviews, so it doesn't seem like they would volunteer. And we know Finnick, it sounds like Finnick didn't volunteer, he was just picked, but we know that Max volunteered for Annie because she's an absolute saint. Yeah, at least from what we see, the only person we're told is a volunteer for the Quarter Quell is Brutus from District 2. Looking at these comments. Thanks for participating in this chat. It's so much more fun when there's people here. Do I think Tam Amber made the handful of spiles that Katniss's father had? Ooh. Do we think Tam Amber made the spiles? It's definitely possible. I mean, he was a blacksmith, right? He worked with metal. I think that's possible. I guess spiles also, they could be made from different things. It didn't necessarily have to be metal, right? As long as it was like sharp enough to tap a tree. But definitely possible that he made spiles and Burdock had some. What do I think about Astrid? Katniss's mom knew about where Prim... Do I think that Mrs. Everdeen knew where Prim was when she went to the capital? I mean, it's a bit of a toss-up because, I mean, we know, like, based on, you know, Katniss theorizes it, but in order to actively, like, be a soldier in District 13, you had to be 14 years old. Prim was not yet 14, but she had gotten permission to be on the front lines, likely by coin, or, you know, because she had it out for Prim and Katniss. I don't know. I feel like I could see that Mrs. Everdeen knew and she didn't want it to happen, but Prim's like, I'm doing this, I want to fight, I want to help, and you can't stop me. I can see that being a thing. Like, she knew, but she doesn't really get, I don't know, there's not that same sort of autonomy, or like the parent doesn't have this like ultimate control over their kid in that society. If she didn't know, the situation I imagine where her mom wouldn't know would be that Prim fully just like snuck out and did it. Like, she'd been behind the scenes trying to get approved and she did, and she just like snuck out because she was sharing an apartment with her mom, so she just like snuck out of their apartment and left a note for her mom, because I don't think that Mrs. Everdeen would ever agree or encourage Prim to do that. But what do you think? Impression you get is that Brutus and Enobaria are the only ones that didn't really care about having to be part of the Quarter Quell. Everyone else on some level was upset about it. Yeah, that I got that impression as well. But also, yeah, we're just not told a ton. But yeah, I mean, they teamed up with Brutus. Like, District 1 and District 2 were, you know, a traditional career pack, but District 4, you know, defected because they were rebels and they had their kind of other unofficial career pack with Katniss. You don't think that Astrid knew because she wouldn't have let her go? Yeah, I mean, I don't think she would ever approve of it, but I think Prim could just do it without her permission anyway, because if she got permission from Coin, it doesn't matter if her mom doesn't want her to. They're not doing permission slips for their parents, you know. Oh, thank you. Kente, I do. Thank you so much. Out of all known victors, which victor had the most altered games shown besides Haymitch, in my opinion? I mean, that's hard to say, because I don't know the truth of all these other games. I imagine that a lot of games are altered. I mean, all of them, I think, are altered at least in some way, because they still have room to edit, and they're telling the story that they want to tell for whoever won. I mean, it sounds like Haymitch's games went very off the rails. Some very extreme things were happening, but that stuff could have also been happening in other games. But so I feel like, I mean, it's a toss-up. I mean, for the other victors, I know there's a lot of theories about Annie's games. Like, no, she was, like, something else happened to her and that's why she went nuts, or like she was punished after her games because she was rebelling in the arena. I think all of that's definitely possible. Just for this sort of like situation, it's so hard to say because it's like anything is possible. I mean, Suzanne really proved that with Sunrise. We thought we knew what Haymitch's games were like, and wowee, a lot more went down than we knew, or than the public knew, because we're just going by what Katniss knew and, you know, what the public tape was of Haymitch's games. So, I don't know. Does anyone else have any particular victors they think had a games that was extra wild? Mindy, you just finished Suzanne Collins' Underland Chronicle series and you sobbed at the end. It's for 5th to 8th graders, but it's so good. Okay, has anyone else read the Underland Chronicles? I know the first one, it's like Gregor the Overlander. I'd started reading it. I got the audiobook and I did not like the audiobook's narrator. It was a really old man, and it was very odd since the protagonist is a child. So I need to get it from the library just as a normal book, because the audiobook was like, it was too distracting for me to enjoy it. But now I want to read it. Okay, Mindy, if you read it all and it was worth it, I want to read it. Has anyone else read Gregor? I mean, I've heard good things, but yeah, it does sort of take you back a little bit because it's like, oh, it's more of a children's book. But if it's a good children's book, I'm down. I mean, isn't like Harry Potter technically a children's book, at least like the first couple ones? Do I think Vinnick's death was focused on enough? It seemed too quick for you. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the point. The point is he died so quickly and senselessly and just in a flash, because Suzanne's trying to like tell the realities of war, that people die in a snap, like your life is over, and that, good people, skilled people, sometimes the best fighters, they die in war. So it's so jarring that it's just all of a sudden he's gone, but that feels very real. I think, yeah, I mean, I wish we had more time maybe for Katniss to like mourn over it. We get it more in the books, like she sort of takes a moment and cries about it later, but I don't know. To me, it made sense why it happened so fast, and it works for me. It's really upsetting, but I don't know if a longer, drawn-out death would be any more satisfying, Do I think Finnick was weak because Snow found out he knew about the antidotes and poisoning? You mean for the quarter quell? Yeah. Yeah, I assume so. But also, so yeah, in the quarter quell, in a universe where the quarter quell went as planned and there was no rebel, breakout of the arena, who do you think was the pick to win? Who do you think the Capitol wanted to win? Because they could manipulate that a lot. I mean, obviously, you can say, oh, the Capitol just wanted one of the careers. They wanted Brutus to win, or Enobaria, one of the loyal career people. But I could also see Finnick being the pick to win. yes, he did know a bunch of secrets and everything, but he's also like the most famous victor and beloved and very skilled. So it seems like it would be likely he would win, that he'd be able to win, you know? And then if he did win, I mean, then they could charge even more for doing whatever they do to him. But it would be more of a way to like sort of put Finnick like as a threat to Finnick. Like, don't you even think about telling on Snow's and all his secrets or anything, you know, because like, look what we can do to you. We can send you back in the arena and then do God knows what. I don't know. In my head, I feel like the chosen winners that they wanted for the Quell was either Brutus or Enobaria or Finnick, because he was like the most famous, beloved victor, and it would be a way to, you know, show him who's boss. But what do you think? Yeah, he's also easily controlled because of Annie. Yes, great point, Codster's camera. Yeah, like that's, you know, that's how they had Finnick. And, I mean, sure, Mags would have been taken out, so they didn't have her to hold over his head, but yeah, he still had Annie, and they can control Finnick that way and get a better price for him as a double victor, you know? Camila, hello. See, you really want me to react. You saw a theory that Cashmere, Glimmer's mentor, trained her badly, so she didn't end up like Finnick. In the book it says she sucked with a bow. Yeah, I've seen that theory. To me, I can get that in like a fan fiction sense, but I don't think it really has much like behind it as a theory. I mean, and it's not even that she's like that Glimmer was so bad with a bow. It's just like she was struggling to hit a moving target up in a tree. Like, she wasn't as good with a bow as Katniss, who's like supernaturally good with a bow. It sounds like Glimmer had plenty of other skills. It's just archery probably wasn't her first best thing. I think it'd be too late to train her badly if she grew up as a career doing the normal sort of training. I don't think that Glimmer was bad or unskilled at all. There was just this one instance, especially because also we're getting Katniss's judgment. She's pissed and angry and like, yeah, that girl sucks with a bow. Like, she's being kind of petty. Yeah, I don't feel like the mentors would want their tribute not to win, even though they know what happens to them. Like, I don't know, I feel like it's just a big point of pride for these normal, loyal career districts. Yeah, she just didn't know how to use that weapon. Let's look for a second about what she does with the bow here. Looking through the book and what it's described. The girl with the arrows, Glimmer. Yeah, okay, yeah, like Katniss, the way she describes Glimmer, like, she's so petty. She is so annoyed. Literally, when Katniss is up in the tree, she goes, "The girl with the arrows, Glimmer, I hear someone call her. Ugh, the names the people in District 1 give their children are so ridiculous." Anyway, Glimmer scales the tree until the branches begin to crack under her feet, and then she has the good sense to stop. I'm at least 80 feet high now. She tries to shoot me, and it's immediately evident that she's incompetent with a bow. One of the arrows gets lodged in the tree near me, though, and I'm able to seize it. I wave it teasingly above her head. So, yeah, it's like she still Glimmer had climbed the tree and shot the arrow that still was close enough to Katniss that she could reach it. So it's not that she's completely, you know, inept. Like, Katniss is saying she's incompetent, because, like, yeah, Katniss is pissed right now, and she's the absolute best person ever with a bow. So I think she's just being very harsh on Glimmer here, and it's likely not Glimmer's best, you know, weapon, but that seems to be the optimal one to use in this situation when Katniss is 80 feet away. They can't really just stab her with a sword, you know? So I don't think that Glimmer was unskilled or trained to be unskilled at all. 80 feet is so high. Yes, that's crazy. What's the saddest parallel in the series, in my opinion? Peeta not wanting to be turned into something he's not and then getting hijacked. Haymitch wanting to paint a poster versus LD's graffiti. For me, I mean, I'm a Peeta girly. We know this. I think, yeah, like I think that's the saddest parallel to me is Peta's exact, like, worst nightmare of having the Capitol change him into some sort of monster he's not is exactly what happens to him. Like, I just, and you can tell because, like, he has this thought going into the 74th games. Like, this is something that he's thought about throughout his life, it seems. Like, it's a deep existential fear that he would be changed to be, like, a bad, violent person. It's, like, just so against his core values because he's such a sweetie. So the fact that they do that to him is just absolutely tears my heart to pieces, but I'm glad that he recovers. What's my fave Nightlock moment in the whole series? A Nightlock moment is a moment that could be seen as rebellious in the Hunger Games, but it's not cut out of the TV broadcast. I mean, I guess it's I'm trying to think what are our options here. In regards to Rue, she, you know, Katniss sings to her as she dies. I think that's a pretty big Nightlock moment that made it to screen. Though Katniss does say they omit the part where she covered her in flowers, at least in the recap. So that part was sort of taken away. The force field. Like, you mean at the end? Like when they tear it apart? I don't know. Do you have more options for a favorite Nightlock moment? Because I'm just thinking of, like, the regular Nightlock moment, and I'm thinking of Rue. Trying to think of something. Oh, Thresh. You mean, like, Thresh sparing Katniss? That's a pretty good one. Yeah, I mean, and it's just also, like, we don't know exactly all that made it to screen, is the frustrating thing. Because, like, there's two versions of what is on TV. There's, like, the live coverage, which is while it's actively happening and they're switching between a bunch of different cameras so they can decide still what gets on the live feed. And then there's what's immortalized, the 3-hour recap that they cut together after the games. So there's multiple versions of what made it, you know, on air. So it's hard to know exactly, like, what made it or not. Like Reaper pulling the flag over the tributes in the 10th Hunger Games. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm trying to think. Yeah, and he does that in the book. I feel like in the book he doesn't put it on like a cape the way he does in the movie, or maybe I'm thinking in reverse. Lamina showing mercy to Marcus and ending his suffering. Yeah, that's a really good one. Yeah, I guess the one that we know the most of what is on screen is the 10th Games, because we're seeing it through the perspective of Snow, who's watching it on TV. It's interesting. I know, Haymitch's force field moment was not an accident. It was pretty deliberate. I mean, he discovered it and, you know, was hoping that would happen. Do I think Haymitch thought there was a chance that there was another Lulu situation after the hijacking of Peeta? Ooh. I guess, I mean, he could have thought that, I think, for a moment, but I guess the big thing is, like, he would, if it was a fully different person, you know, like, you know, Haymitch was able to clock Lulu and Luella. Like, he could tell she wasn't the same person. He knew her face well enough and stuff. So I feel like he could have that initial worry that, like, oh my god, it's not the real Peeta, but then I think Haymitch would, you know, would look at him long enough to be like, no, that is him. They just messed up his mind. But I can imagine him having a moment of that where he's freaking out. Jacob, hey. Finnick resuscitating Peeta was a Nightlock moment. Someone reviving a fellow tribute from a different district. Yeah. I think that one might take the cake for me. I mean, in terms of just like most iconic. And I'm imagining just like the jaw drop around the world seeing that happen. Yeah, like people who were not... I'm trying to get in my head, like, what was it like for people to see that? Like, if you were a normal Capitol person, you're not aware of the rebellion or anything, you're probably just thinking that just makes you even more of a Finnick fan. Because if you already think Finnick is, like, the best guy ever and is the total dreamboat, and then it's like, oh my god, and he's a hero. Because Peeta was also very popular. And Katniss, like, that trio, they were kind of the most popular people there. So I feel like in the Capitol, you know, the ignorant people who don't really understand the rebel aspect of it, they thought it was awesome when Finnick did that. I'm trying to think, like, in normal districts, I think they would understand the significance of that. And, like, Capitol loyalist people, like, in other career districts, they probably would be pissed about that. And I'd be like, why did he do that? I don't understand what's wrong with him. But then the more rebel people would probably be extremely touched by that and maybe get some hope. Yeah, Finnick being from a career district, helping someone from District 12. Yeah, I feel like, I mean, what makes it work more, because it is, like, this Victor Quell, and Katniss and Peeta are, you know, I think the most popular next to Finnick. They're the most beloved, so I think, you know, maybe people would be able to rationalize it more like, oh, well, he's teaming up with them because, you know, they're like the most skilled and they're the most beloved, and he's just like in the popular group almost. Mag's killing herself and sticking to the rebel plan, literally defying the Capitol and not giving a second thought about it. Yeah, Mags is such a gem and a hero. When I was like first read Sunrise, and like just when she just like opens her arms up to Haymitch to like let him cry in her arms, I felt my heart stopped. I feel like that's just like the perfect way to encapsulate her character and the type of person that she is. Like, she is so much empathy, and she just like kind of understands, you know, what you can do to comfort people. Like, she can't, that's the best that she can do, but she knows that this boy needs that right now. And I just imagine her being that person to so many other kids, and especially Finnick. Like, with all that Finnick was going through, stop, I'm not gonna cry about this. With all that Finnick was going through, like, and I'm sure Mags was like the person that he went to, because she would know what was going on, and she was probably like the only person who knew, or that he could talk to about it, or like not even talk about it, but just like be seen and know that she knew and like loved him and would take care of him wherever he wanted. Oh gosh, totally breaks my heart. Mags communicated with Haymitch via sponsor gifts, the ham hock soup. Yeah, Mags is just like a beautiful person. Here's the thing about Finnick, on the topic of the awful things that happened to Finnick. You know, like, Katniss has, like, a line, like, oh, like, no one could touch Finnick for 2 years after he won, but then after that, then he was, you know, all over the Capitol hooking up with everyone. So, you know, there's this kind of belief that, oh, Finnick wasn't trafficked until he was 16. But I don't buy that, because I think that's just the public thing. Like, he wasn't publicly known as this guy who hooked up with everyone in the Capitol. Like, he couldn't be marketed to the general public as a heartthrob until he was 16, but all the sickos in the Capitol who wanted to have time with him, they would probably prefer when he was younger. Like, I don't think that Snow waited till he was 16 to start doing horrible things to Finnick, unfortunately. That's my cynical take. But what do you think? I think it's wild how Peeta and Prim got reaped despite not being put in the pool of tribute as much as Gale and Katniss. The odds were not in their favor. Yeah, Peeta, he did not take out Tesserae. But, yeah, I mean, I feel like now it's like things are kind of iffy in terms of, we know that reapings can be rigged for sure, and that happens, but I don't take it as all reapings are rigged. I still feel like there's an element of randomness, or at least there's a mix of like, hey, we want to make sure that it's not all SEAM kids from 12 this year, so make sure that there's more of the merchant kids' names in there this year. Like, kind of artificially rigging it that way, but not like a specific kid is put in there. But I don't know. Even if he wasn't trafficked till he was 16, yeah, I mean, it's all awful no matter what. Was Snow the best mentor for the Hunger Games? Without the handkerchief, the snakes would have killed her. I mean, the best, it's hard to say. I mean, there's so many games and things. He definitely did I mean, his tribute won. He helped her, you know, he played by his own rules, you know, like cheating, but like who really cares if he was cheating? You know, he gave her the means to get the poison and, you know, helped her out with the snake. So, yeah, I mean, he was a good mentor in that aspect. Like, the things he did very actively helped his tribute win. But it's just hard because it's like a totally different situation than other normal mentors. I'd have to bet that Mags, I'm gonna say that Mags was the best mentor. But also, I mean, you could say Haymitch was, because he's the only one who got two, like, both of his tributes out of the game. Pretty epic. But also, it's just like these crazy circumstances that had never happened before that allowed that to happen. So, hard to say. Is it confirmed that Peeta never took out Tesserae? You're right. It's not 100% confirmed. I don't believe Peeta ever says that. It's just what Katniss assumes. Yeah. I don't know. I guess I believe that he didn't, because I feel like Peeta would have said so to Katniss. Like, I mean, he tells her, no, we just always ate stale bread and things, and even though we had, you know, enough to eat or whatever, but I don't know. I feel like if Peeta took out Tesserae, he would have told Katniss about it. But what do you think? Because also, I mean, the rations they get, they're grain and oil and some, do they get, like, coal? I mean, it's possible. I guess it's just, I imagine Peeta would have said so. But that's just my speculation. We don't 100% know if he did or didn't. Is Katniss a reliable narrator in Mockingjay? Okay, like, in terms of, like, what a reliable narrator actually means, I feel like people get mixed up about it. It's not that the person is a liar or not. It's just that I feel like the more accurate term is that they're a limited narrator. Katniss isn't omniscient. She doesn't know all. We're not getting the story through someone who knows everything that's happening. It's like not that writing style. So Katniss is limited because she's a person living in this world and she knows what she knows. She has her own perception of things, and, you know, she isn't a psychic third-party presence. So, I mean, I think she's a limited narrator always, because she's not all-knowing. And in Mockingjay, I mean, I don't think she's less or more all-knowing ever. Like, she's just the same throughout it. In Mockingjay, there's more times where she's, you know, has like a brain injury, so she's, and she's on a bunch of medication, so she's not as sharp as always, so I could say she'd be more, you know, she knows a lot less in Mockingjay, but I don't feel like it's, I don't know, I still feel like she's still the same, narrating in the same way. What are some other bread names we can call Peta's brothers? You could see Peta's mom making her sons take out tesserae so that they could have bread that didn't come from the bakery. Yeah, I mean, I can see it's definitely it's not impossible. I'm looking at all these messages. How do you think the story would have changed if Gale also volunteered in the 74th games? I mean, it'd be an entirely different story. It's just, you know, impossible for me to know that. It should be an entirely different series of events. But if Gale volunteered, I don't know. I don't think that they both would have made it out. I mean, it'd just be entirely different. Like, it's impossible for me to predict what would happen. Peeta had 2 brothers. At the time of when Peeta was picked to go into the games, he had one brother who was either 17 or 18, who was still eligible for the reaping, and one that was over 18. So he had 2 older brothers. He is the baby. Gale would have been too rash and died in the bloodbath, probably would have butted heads with the careers and training too. Yeah, I can definitely see that, Jacob. I mean, but it's also, I mean, like, Gale still, he is smart. But I can see him, yeah, just getting too excited and going in for the bloodbath. But yeah, him and Kato would totally fight during training, because Gale would not take any shit from anyone. But I don't know. I can still see him, like, if Haymitch would get through to him, like, I know you're a hothead and you're gonna go into the bloodbath, but, like, you can't. Like, if you want, you know, you and Katniss have your best odds, you guys need to run away, and they would, you know, it would be the plan from the start that Katniss and Gale would team up together. Okay, fine. Okay, I'm gonna imagine this a little bit. I think that Haymitch's plan would be more to hide during training and the training week that Gale and Katniss were friends and knew each other and were gonna be a team, because I think it would be the more surprise thing that in the games they team up, but it would be more advantageous for people to not know that they were gonna team up at all and just target them separately. But the twist is they join up and fight together and set in big traps, and I think they could work very effectively as a team as long as Haymitch is able to get through to Gale to not jump into the blood, which I think he's capable of. I mean, he does have some self-control. He is still intelligent, as much as I don't love him. You can see Gale winning in the bloodbath. I mean, we don't know exactly if he can fight. I mean, we know, like, he's good when he trains to be a soldier, but his skills in terms of hunting, he's a trapper more. He's not going, and he does learn how to use a bow and arrow, but his main strategy is he's able to set up elaborate traps. You know, he's not actively fighting or attacking. But, I mean, he's a very big guy, so he'd have that advantage. Like, he's over 6 feet tall. You believe Snow saw Lucy Gray as his manic pixie dream girl, and then the minute found out she had a personality, he was no longer interested. Riley Ann, 100% believe that. I feel the exact same way. When I was first reading it, Ballad, it was so, I was like, oh my god. Like, it just, like, the manic pixie dream girlification was so apparent. Because, yeah, I mean, Snow just liked the idea of her. But also I feel like he would do that to anyone. Like, he did not see pretty much anyone as a full person. Have I ever read the books that were from Peta's POV? Yeah, I mean, the Peta's games, there's 4 of them. Yeah, I read all those fan fictions. think I read them twice. Definitely, you know, good. I have not read very much fan fiction at all. That was the first full fan fiction books I've ever read. So yeah, I mean, I thought they were pretty good. It's just like, I don't know, my one thing with it is like Peta's voice would get sort of skewed for me at times. I feel like Peta's only everyone say hi to Alex. Like Peta's only personality in those books, it's just like he only thought about Katniss, that had nothing else going on in his head. And I felt like that was a little bit, you know, like I get it, like they're writing the book for that, but it felt like, I don't know, that parts of it wouldn't ring true for me. And I didn't like that in Peta's game stuff they had it that he was swearing. Like there were times he just sounded too modern and of our world. Like he was saying like shit and like hang out, and it takes me out. Fan fiction, I mean, major respect for Igzy Grace for writing all that. It's very challenging, but yeah, it's so hard, I think, to mimic exactly Suzanne Collins' writing style. Because so much of it, like Katniss' voice and all of them, they have pretty much an old-fashioned, very formal way of speaking. Yeah, Peeta also said countless F-bombs in that series. Yeah. Peta's games got deleted now. Yeah, so I've heard that. Like, it's just not on Wattpad or whatever, but I've heard that, like, maybe she has a Patreon now. But also, I don't know, if I Google it, I'm able to find the PDF downloads of them. I still have the ebook saved personally, but I've seen that they're still out there. They're just not, like, up on the usual websites. But I think that she took them down and put them behind a paywall. But I don't know. What do I think of Sunrise casting and how they match up the book? I mean, I think it looks pretty good so far. I mean, as far as like matching up, like physical appearance of characters, I'm not really a stickler for that in any way. Like if it's not important for their character and their story, like it doesn't matter to me that like this character is supposed to have green eyes and they have brown eyes in the movie. Like that doesn't matter. But in terms of like casting the younger versions of people, I think those look really cool, especially Elle Fanning for Effie. She has the great vibe. I mean, so much of the cast I'm so unfamiliar with for Sunrise, which I like. I'd prefer I don't know all of them. I did cave and watch We Were Liars so I could see Joseph Zeta act, and I did not like the show, but I really liked his performance. He has a stellar American accent. He's a very subtle actor. He's very, very good and talented, so I'm happy with that. But yeah, I'm really just most familiar with Elle Fanning as an actress and Ralph Fiennes because he's Voldemort, you know. But I mean, I think I trust him with the casting. The ballad casting was really good in my opinion. Like Tom Blythe was, I mean, like I didn't know him at all, and I thought he was perfect. What website are the Peta's games view on? I mean, I don't know, Lex, if you just search Peta's games, Igzy Grace, it's like IGSYGRACE, something comes up. If you just go on Google, there's like PDF downloads of them from the last time I checked. I'm not Googling it right now, but I think I Googled it like a month ago. Yeah, Igzy Grace. Thanks, Mindy. You thought, yeah, everyone's agreeing that the swearing felt weird. Yeah. Also in the movie, in the Hunger Games movie, Katniss says, damn you. She never says that in the book. She does not say damn you. Let me see, does anyone ever say damn? Yeah, the word damn, D-A-M-N, not in the books. There will be things where Katniss says, like, I swore, but she doesn't give the details. Let me see. What is there in Sunrise? Is there swearing? The damn is not in Sunrise either. Yeah. But, I mean, they're YA, so, like, they're not going to have a bunch of swearing. I say damn or damn it, but I'm old. No, I mean, I'm not saying that it's wrong to say. I'm just saying that in it, in the Hunger Games way of speaking, or in that universe, we don't like hear swear words ever. I think we need another prequel, and do I think Suzanne will write them? We know she only writes when context is needed. I mean, I think it's definitely possible that she'll write more. I don't know if we need one. I mean, we didn't need anything after the trilogy. I was very content. I love the Hunger Games world, obviously, so I'm eager for more. But, I mean, do we need more? I think, we were talking about it earlier, I would love to know more about how the careers work, more about the underground rebellion group, but I don't know exactly like what story we need to be told and what District 12 person story would be told, because so far all the books have a District 12 victor, and as we know, I mean, we've covered all of the District 12 victors now, so it would be a big divergence from the format she's done to have another prequel. But I think, I mean, obviously she can do it. Just depends if she wants to. But I've said this a million times. My dream next book is a collection of short stories, like novellas from a bunch of different characters throughout history of Pan Am, or all one time, but just a bunch of different perspectives. Like the Avox, redhead Avox girl, what's her story? Like, something about through the careers, like just stuff about Plutarch, and like just get this kind of collection of stories would be amazing, but we'll see. If we need a story, it's from inside the rebellion. District's the capital, and so now the rebels. Also, I mean, I don't know if there would be, what the story would be to tell, but, the Dark Days seems like a possible route to go, like the war before the Hunger Games. But I just don't know exactly what the big story would be. Because as far as we know, before the Dark Days, it was just like Pan Am was the same, except there wasn't Hunger Games. It was just that oppression of the districts, but there was no Hunger Games. And they rose up and fought and lost. So I'm curious what was going on. It's 3:30 in the morning. Cicada, you're at a sleepover with your friend? You go to sleep. You should just go to sleep. That's really late. Can we talk about in Sunrise, there seemed to be more community among the Seam than in Hunger Games? Like Hamish talks about hanging out with his friends and being there when Luella was born. Yeah, I mean, we totally see how much has changed in 12 through Sunrise. I mean, it's also hard. I mean, Katniss was not very social, so she's different in that aspect. Like, she kept to herself. She had a full-time job putting food on the table. She didn't have time for anything else. But yeah, I mean, like, it seems like people are a lot more destitute. The poor got poorer as time went on, and people didn't take care of each other as much. It became more just hostile, and every person's just fighting for themselves, and they forget who the real enemy is. But yeah, I mean, it's a cool aspect. I also think the whole script thing is very interesting, how that's just added in, and then it disappeared at some point, how the Capitol paid people in a specific way with money they could only use at a Capitol store. And it sounds like a Capitol store did not exist during Katniss's time. So it's like people had even less access to materials. But like that stuff could still exist in other districts or what. I mean, there's so many just like little things that were added in Sunrise that we don't know when they started and when they stopped, but it's cool. If Katniss was around during the 50th games, there's no way that she would have had to scour for food because people would have helped feed her. I don't know. I mean, it does seem more likely, like, that there would be, yeah, like the people who were, friends with her father would maybe, look out for her family more. But yeah, I mean, it sounds like there's really just like no community at all. Or at least Katniss didn't have any community. Yeah, I know, it's interesting. You think like, okay, so like everyone knows these kids' fathers died and they're on their own. But I think it's also like people, at least in the Seam or the people who were their friends, like they had so little. They were barely staying alive too, so they couldn't really afford to help anyone. And then the merchant class, there's just more of that class divide. They're like, well, we're okay, and we don't want to, if we start helping the people in the Seam, then we're not going to have enough to eat. And it's just that scarcity mindset. Yeah, I feel like, is anyone a sociology professor or major here? I feel like that would be very helpful in terms of just analyzing like how people, how community sort of breaks down when there's scarcity, because I'm not an expert. Looking through. If I could live the life of one character for a full day, who would it be? I don't want to be Peeta. Peeta after the rebellion when he's living his happy life. I wanna know what it's like in his head so badly. But yeah, be Peeta, be baking stuff. And you're just like the sweetest guy ever. What's everyone else's pick? You wouldn't be surprised if conditions got worse in District 12 because Haymitch's win brought 12 to Snow's attention again. Yeah, I could see 12 being, getting, more treated worse because of Snow's pettiness. And also, but I can also see that extending overall. Like, the Quell was a huge disaster for the capital. Like, they had major rebellion happening. And so they could say, well, we need to squash all of this, so we need to make conditions in the district even worse so people don't have the time or the energy to fight at all. So they make conditions even worse so that people are just so occupied with trying not to starve to death, Minnie baking and staring at sunsets and loving his girl. Yes. Everyone wants to be Peeta. Relate to him since the first time you read the books. Is it real bread? It is not real bread. It is foam display bread. Probably against the rules to help anyone. If Burdock was part of rebellious activity, no one would want to be able... Oh yeah, they wouldn't want to be suspected as being rebels. That's an interesting... I mean, I don't know, I guess, exact rules of helping people, but I can definitely see that people are afraid of associating themselves with anyone who is rumored to be a rebel because, yeah, they want to protect themselves. That makes sense. Where'd I get the squishy bread? I was just like looking for display case bread. Like, it's for like restaurants and like prop houses. If you Google fake bread, you'll find it. I just got it. I ordered it online. Got a pack of different fake breads. You think Suzanne's boss will force her to write more books? I don't think anyone can force her to write a book. I don't believe Suzanne's in any sort of contract to write more books through her publishing house. Because that's like the only way that she would have to write more Hunger Games books if she was locked into some sort of contract. As far as I know, she doesn't have any. So I don't think anyone can make her do anything. And I would never want Suzanne to write a book just because someone made her. You'd want her to be eagerly writing the story, Whenever you see a squirrel, you think of Ampert. Oh my god. Have I ranked all the books? I have such a hard time ranking them. I know my favorite is Catching Fire, but I really struggle to rank the others. I know that as far as this, I know my favorite is Catching Fire, and my least favorite is Ballad. As far as Sunrise, Hunger Games, and Mockingjay go, it's really hard. They're all so, I think they're all so great. And it's also hard because, like, I obviously have not read Sunrise on the Reaping as many times as I've read the trilogy. Like, I've read the trilogy a lot of times. And I would gladly pick up any of those books and read them. So, yeah, I don't know. For me, I just know my favorite and my least. I cannot, with my full chest, make a ranking. It's so hard. Thank you. Icarus. Thank you so much. Razzle, you're reading Ballad and enjoying it, but Snow's very manipulative. Can I talk about that? I mean, yeah, he's very manipulative. He's selfish. He's very, he is very lacking in empathy. He's always looking out for himself over everyone else. I mean, yeah, I don't know. What else to say? How are they going to do Ampert's death in the movie? See, I don't think it would be that hard to do this for Ampert's thing. I think that they can just kind of show it how Haymitch saw. Like, he showed up and the squirrels were running away and there's a skeleton there. Like, I think they'll just do that. I think they can get away with that fine. Maybe we'd see, like, the first one come up and bite Ampert, and then it would jump back to what Haymitch is doing, with the bomb and everything, and then it jumps back to when Haymitch finds Ampert and the skeleton's there, and it's really sad. But yeah, like, I don't think they'll show him, like, I don't think they'll show and let you hear him being completely mauled, because there's just no way they could do that for a PG-13 movie, of having a kid be mauled to death. You wish Katniss's prep team were better represented in the movies. Yeah, they're really fun characters. But if they ever make a TV series of it, maybe we'll get more time with them. You think District 1 purposely sent Marvel and Glimmer to the 74th to save their best tributes for the 75th? I mean, I don't know. I feel like they probably had so many good tributes. But yeah, I mean, I get the idea of trying to save some. You want to reserve for the Quarter Quell because you think it's going to be really good. But I guess, I don't know. I don't know how much, like, people would crave revenge for Silka, like, something that happened 25 years ago. Like, the majority of the people, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there'd be so much more going on. I feel like they just want to win the games, period. I don't know if they care so much about revenge or anything, but it's hard to say. It's just like, we know so little about these people. What's my favorite thing about the books? Impossible question. My favorite thing about the books is how there's so many layers of meaning to everything. It's just like there's so much to dissect. The next YouTube video that I'm working on, I already wrote and I filmed it. I'm in the process of editing it. It's a bit of a monster. It's all about the hanging tree. And there's so much. There's so many layers to it because, I mean, we get it. The story in the trilogy and then in the prequels, but also just even what it means in the trilogy. There's like so many different parts of it. There's so many, the branches extending, and I think that's just like what's so masterful about these books is there's so many layers to all this meaning. And then and just the world is so rich. Do I think Cinna had the right to set Katniss up with the wedding dress in the Mockingjay moment? I feel like it should have been her choice. Yeah, I had a video where I talked about this. Like, I can see it either way. I think, I mean, it's the thing where it's hard. It's like, he's fighting for the greater good. He seemed prepared to die for his actions. But yeah, I mean, overall, Katniss, there's all these people who make choices for Katniss and do sort of play her as a pawn in the rebellion. Again, it's for the greater good of all these people. But on a personal level, yeah, like, people are making big decisions for her. And without her, prior knowledge or consent, and that's hard. I don't love it, but you know, it's very nuanced. I don't think Cinna's an evil person. Yeah, and Cinna does use Katniss, but she's more forgiving of him. Yeah, and I mean, it's a lot easier to forgive someone when you see him be killed in front of you for what he did. Yeah, Jacob, you get it. The symbolism. Like, it's just the best books. It's such a thing. Like, I mean, I read other books all the time. I'm always reading, and it's just like I mean, just like the amount of symbolism in the Hunger Games book is kind of unmatched. It's just so good. Like, I think it'd be really interesting if Suzanne Collins just wrote a whole other series. You know, I'd love to see what else she had to write outside of the Hunger Games, because she really just has the Underland series and Hunger Games, and she's obviously a great writer. You hate Wyatt's father's death isn't talked about. I mean, talked about by who? It's really, yeah, it's really sad. I feel like there's just, Sunrise has only been out for a few months, so there isn't, you know, the same level and time for discourse about it as the other trilogy. Like, other parts of the trilogy, you know? Riley, your ranking of the books is Sunrise, then Catching Fire, then Hunger Games, then Mockingjay, then Ballad. For a long time, Mockingjay was definitely, like, I didn't like it as much, but now I love Mockingjay so much more. It's a great read because it's so sad, and I love a good devastating read. Yeah, Dustin. Yeah, the Hunger Games are for everyone. There's just something special about them. With the Underland Chronicles, there's so many glimpses. Yeah, even in the short portion that I listened to of the Underland, I saw so much of, like, the Prim, like there was a very, like, Prim type thing with, like, Prim Katniss, that sort of dynamic was very apparent. Just, like, a younger versions of them. Do I think President Snow left Haymitch a rose in 12 like he did with Katniss after he bombed it? Yeah, oh my god. Do you think anything was left in Haymitch's house for him to find when he came back? Like gumdrops or something? I can see it, but also I just know that Snow was so obsessed and focused on Katniss. I can see him not really caring. Like, he got all his torture out of Haymitch. He's kind of just, like, over it. He had a new obsession to focus on. Who do I think has the best character development? I don't know. By what definition? Like, they change a lot? Or we know more? I guess in terms of character the most that, like, surprises you, that when you learn more about them, Finnick really stands out to me, because, like, the idea that Katniss has of him, you know, is the one we're told, and then we learn so much more about his character. Like, I don't know, he's so much, like, he's not what you think. So I'd say that, I guess. You think he left Haymitch milk? Riley! Ugh. Ew, like sour milk in his home. Yeah, Jacob, Mockingjay is your second favorite. Sad books are not bad books. Agreed. I mean, for me, like, that's the reason why I've always read this series over and over throughout my life, because it is so emotional. And I don't know, it's good to feel things, like, yeah. For me, like, a lot of times, like, just throughout the years when I would go and pick up to reread the trilogy, was a lot of times when I was not having a very good time. So, I mean, you know, there's the part you get to escape to another world, obviously, but also, yeah, you're getting to hear from a character who is struggling and unhappy and going through hard things, and it's just like very cathartic. I love these books. All right, guys, I'm gonna do 4 more minutes, and then I'm gonna go. But this has been really fun. Thank you, Patreon people. I hope you're not mad at me for opening this live up to the public. I was sitting here, no one was here, and trying to make a little more lively discussion. Buttercup has the best development, hands down. Paws down. Do I have any more book suggestions if you enjoyed The Hunger Games? I have, I'm trying to think of like the top of my head. It's hard. I mean, I read a lot of sci-fi books. Hunger Games isn't necessarily sci-fi. It's sci-fi adjacent. But in terms of like, I don't know, other YA books that it's nowhere near as well written as The Hunger Games. Let me say that. But I think the Uglies series by Scott Westerfeld, I love that series. I've reread it a zillion times. I think it's really great in terms of the world is so interesting. And they're just really fun to read. They just go through. Lord of the Flies, good book. Ender's Game, I reread that recently. I feel like that's always an interesting read. As I get older, I can see more problematic things in Ender's Game, but overall, that's also a really great, devastating, sad book. Mistborn. Ooh, let me write that down. I haven't heard of that. Mistborn. Thank you, Mindy. Everyone's just sharing. Unwind. I really like the Scythe series by Neil Shusterman. I want to reread it. I only read it once. I don't know. Maybe I'd do some sort of Patreon book club reading the Scythe series. People would be down. In terms of Unwind, I know I read it when I was a teenager and I didn't really remember it. So recently, the other month, I read Unwind. And I don't know, I just didn't love it. I feel like Scythe is just so much better. I've read other Neil Shusterman books. Like, I've read Dry. I know he's a good writer. I just feel like Unwind, I didn't really connect with any of the characters. And I had a hard time with that. And I didn't, in the world building of it, I don't know, I just didn't get super into it. I read the second book in it, which is like a novella. I really didn't like it. But then I started reading the third one of the Unwind, and it's, again, I just wasn't really connecting with the characters, so I put it back on the shelf. But yeah. Scythes is on the TBR pile. Highly recommend. That was a series that really got me out of a reading slump. It was like last winter, 2 winters ago, whatever. My like best friend told me to read it. And that was like the first time in a long time I'd read a physical book. Like not an ebook, not an audiobook. It was because from the library they only had the physical book of it. And it was a thing where like I'm just spending hours a night reading this book, and I had not had that same drive in so long, so it was so nice. But yeah, I really loved that series. That's the thing. I got the idea for what I want the next Hunger Games book to be from that series, because the fourth book in it, I think that one's Gleanings. The fourth book, the last book in Scythe, is a collection of novellas of different short stories from different characters in it throughout the years, and it's so good. So if we can get a Hunger Games version of that, I'd be so down. Princess Diaries. I read that series, not for a long time, but yeah, I remember loving that series in like middle school, high school. Magic Paranormal, Discovery of Witches series. I don't read a ton of fantasy. I like magical realism stuff. Nothing to See Here is a good one. Yes, I've read Station 11. that was one thing I really loved the show. The show just expanded on it so much more that honestly, like, I liked the show more than the book, which is very rare for me. It's more so, they're so different. I feel like the show and the book is so different for Station 11 that it's hard for me to even, like, compare them, but I loved that show. But yeah, I just finished rereading. I hadn't read it in like 10 years. I read The Road by Cormac McCarthy. I finished that today. I want to rewatch the movie, but great book. So devastating. That book, reading The Road right now, felt really tough. It just felt like something I was like, I've always loved dystopian sci-fi-ish stuff, because it's always like, is this gonna happen soon? Will this be the future? And like reading The Road, I was like, is this what's gonna happen in the next 5 years? Like, it felt very, very close to home, and it is intense. Yeah. Shatter Me. No, I have not read Shatter Me, but I can picture it in my head. I've definitely seen it on the shelf. Yeah, does the Catching Fire illustration book coming out next month? Let me check. Yeah, I want the I'm gonna get the illustrated one for sure. Catching Fire, illustrated edition. When does it come? No, it comes out October 7th. So we still got some time. We got a couple months, but soon, about 2 months, we'll have the illustrated Catching Fire. I hope they put more pictures in it, because I'm kind of disappointed in the amount of illustrations that are in the first, and then the Hunger Games illustrated edition. I want all the pictures. I want a graphic novel. Looking. Hunter trilogy. 1984. Yeah, 1984 is good. Brave New World is like, I read that for the first time recently, and I really didn't. I thought there was so much about it that was like really like, I don't want like that was very like sexual assault, misogynistic vibes that was like really disturbing to me. I really struggled with it. But yeah, 1984, great. I reread that after, or no, I think I read it right before Sunrise came out, which was great timing. Tigress prequel would be cool. Illustrated book better have the cheese buns plant book eyelashes scene. Please, 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 please. I need to see romantic Katniss Peeta moment so badly. Even just Peeta carrying her up the stairs. Please. Please. Lois Lowry. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. I recently reread The Giver. Like, quartet. The first Giver book, good. The other ones, it's just like so, they just like weird. I read, I reread all 4 of them. And it's more like I'm left with it like, it's just like it had so much potential, but the world got like so confusing. Like, it was just like, okay, there's a magical person. I was wanting more things to be explained, and it just kept giving me more questions. And like, why are these societies so disjointed? I don't know. For me, like, the first Giver book is really good. The other ones, skip. I just like, it just was weird. I don't know. The random detour into religious stuff. Yeah, overall, it came off very religious. The Messenger. I mean, I still, like, I enjoyed reading all the books, but just, like, as a quartet, they didn't really work that well. And she should have just stayed in the same world as the first one, as the Giver Society. Because, like, I want to know more, like, what is this magic stuff happening? How does the memory transferring work? How does this society get set up? Like, that world she made is so interesting, but then we just leave it, and then it's like everyone's just living in very like primitive society, and it's not really explained. I don't know. There are more than one. Yeah, The Giver, there's 4 books. The Girl's Guide to Murder. Okay, I'm gonna look through my Goodreads real quick, and then I'm gonna bounce for real, so I can look at the books I just recently read and say if anything is worth reading. Okay, I'm looking through the books I've read recently. If there's anything, oh yeah, okay, I read The Stepford Wives recently for the first time. Short book, really fun. I already kind of knew the twist because I'd seen the movie before, but I think it's worth reading. I really liked it. It's moves fast. If anyone else has read Stepford Wives by Ira Levin. And I read Beautyland. That one was pretty cool too. It's like through the perspective of this girl she's like believes she's an alien and like talks to people through the fax machine. It was pretty fun. Yeah, I read Unwind. I didn't love it, as I said. I read No One Is Talking About This. That one was interesting. It was not what I expected at all. But yeah, I'm looking. I don't have a ton of big recs right now. Best nonfiction book I read recently was Disney High, The Untold Story of the Rise and Fall of Disney Channel's Tween Empire by Ashley Spencer. Really interesting. I mean, it's a whole nonfiction thing, but like about the evolution of the Disney Channel and how the shows were made. It's really cool. If you're someone who like likes TV stuff and how stuff production, like, you know, film productions and things, it's really cool. And it's divided by like the different shows. It's like the Hannah Montana chapter, the Lizzie McGuire chapter. Really fun. Yeah. Roxy by Neil Shusterman. That one's on my list. I read, what was the one by Neil Shusterman where he's like, the kid keeps like traveling in time? Happy belated birthday, Ash King. Okay, I really do need to go. But yes, the Hanging Tree video, I will have that out hopefully by early next week. I started working on it. I have an hour and a half of footage to cut down about the Hanging Tree, so it's gonna be a longer video. I'm gonna release it in parts on TikTok, but Hanging Tree, it's like everything Hanging Tree. It's really fun. But yeah, thank you guys so much for hanging out. I do regular live streams on Patreon, so if you want to check that out there. Still a newer Patreon, so this was supposed to be a Patreon only live stream, but I opened it up because, you know, when there's only a couple of us there, it's you know, it's not the most fun, so I thought having a big discussion for a change could be good. But thank you guys so much for hanging out. This was so much fun. I love the chat. But yeah, good night, everyone. Have a great weekend, because your weekend is coming up soon, right? Bye-bye.